Morning. I'm Steve Lentini, the founder of Lord and Lentini Training for Life and the Best Getting Better. So, welcome to another Tuesday topic, which is the habits of top producers. It's interesting that in working with people over the years, since, 1975, it'll be 50 years next year. And what I can tell you is that for my own work and for all the work with others, coaching them, training them, leading sales teams, it's fascinating to watch people that were frustrated and stuck, or at least they had the feeling that they were stuck. And so today's tips are about this side up, right? This side up when your life is upside down, or your work is upside down, or maybe your goals you're frustrated because you're far away from your goals and you're wondering why things aren't working. There are some basic things that most people miss that are in plain sight, which happens to be the name of my next book. It's complete, and I'm just waiting, uh, submitting it to publishers and agents. And I have a number of books on Amazon, but I have some friends that have accused me of being lazy and just putting them on Amazon instead of uh, submitting to publishers because they what they said was I might be afraid of rejection. So it's fascinating. Top producers aren't afraid of rejection. Some will, some won't. So what next? Here's the thing about rejection, right? The Chicken Soup for the Soul authors, Jack Canfield is one of them. He talks about being rejected 150 times and then it became a classic all-time bestseller. It's now, I think, up to 200 million copies in all their varieties, right? They have various versions of Chicken Soup for the Soul. But if you think about it, they just kept moving through because they had a vision. They had a vision for where it was going to go, and they stuck to the vision. And that's the beginning of the habits of top producers, is to see it continually in the mind, despite what happens in the real world. That eventually you will see what you desire if you continue to hold that vision. And so they would just picture it every day. They would picture the contracts, they would picture book signings, they would picture the handshakes on the contracts. And all of that happened after being rejected 150 times or more. And throughout our sales career, we've all been rejected. And what it depends on is, will you stop? Will you let it become the obstacle that you don't hurdle over? And so then at some point in time, as you build a business, so now I've been doing the coaching and training work since 1998. And today I can tell you 100% of my business is referral and or having conversations with existing clients about referrals. Now, when I first got into sales, I was selling business to business supplies. And the thing about calling on people in those days, you called on people live, you actually walked into the businesses. Most everyone had already, unless it was brand new, opening soon, everybody had what I was selling. And back then, sales trainers were teaching features, advantages, benefits. Go into tell them what you do and a little bit about your company. And I found that to be distasteful, and most people didn't appreciate it. And I felt that. I sensed it. So I would walk in and say, you already buy everything I sell. You have a supplier, obviously. Do you even want another salesperson calling on you? And most people would answer, well, what is it exactly that you sell that I have already? And I'd say, well, I sell all the packaging supplies for everything and the cleaning supplies. I sell everything you throw away. I said, some would say, yeah, well, sure. Here's a list. Why don't you give me a price list? And then I'd say, well, I really don't do price lists. And people would say, why is that? And I'd say, well, let's suppose I do the price list and I bring it back to you and I'm cheaper on 10 items. What are you going to do with that list? Most people would think about it and say, well, I might consider it. I might give it to the guy that or the gal that I'm already buying from. Yeah, and ask them if they could lower their prices. I said, no, I really don't. I don't do that. I said, well, let me ask you a question. Let's suppose you did give that list to your existing supplier. How would they feel? How long have you been buying from them? Do you like them? How's the company service? And depending upon their answers, if they said, for example, well, I kind of like the person, and sometimes they're not available. What do you mean not available? Tell me a little bit about that. Well, sometimes I have to call them 2 or 3 times to get a problem resolved. Problems? And what do you mean problems? Where are the problems coming from? And they would tell me, well, there's missed deliveries, there's wrong items, there's substitutes that I don't appreciate. Oh, okay. So then would it make sense to have a secondary supplier? Maybe I could start small. And that way, you don't have to tell that person that you're not going to buy from them anymore. That question came from how long were they doing business with that person or that company? Because if they were doing business for 10 years, I'd say, well, you're doing business with them for 10 years. How are you going to tell them you're not going to do business with them anymore or that you brought in somebody else? They would think about that. Yeah, you're right about that. I don't think I could have that conversation with them. Okay. So then it sounds like it doesn't make sense for me to stop in, but my boss thinks I need to check in every once in a while. Should I stop in? And most people would invite me to stop in. My point was, I went with the obvious. They were already buying what I had. If you're selling software or plumbing supplies or painting services or whatever it is you're selling, if you're walking into a general contractor who builds buildings, they've already got painters, they've built buildings. If you're selling software and they have a computer system, they've got software. You need to find out whether or not they're happy. Would they like some productivity advances? Would they like something new? Would they like to upgrade? Would they even want to have that conversation? But then salespeople were starting with a spiel. Hi, we've been in business for 59 years and got 100 trucks and a big warehouse. Or we've been in business for 159 years and we started out with key punch machines, and now we're a software company. Nobody cares about that. Literally, they don't care about that. What's important is to find out what's happening. Show some respect for the people that you're calling on. Get to the place where they can talk to you about what their business concerns are, and you can't do that if you're talking. So yes, they need to be talking, and you have to have some discovery questions that you build, beginning with the end in mind. And here's the other place that I think people miss. When they join a company, most companies don't have a list of their ideal clients and why. These are the clients, my new salesperson, who are our most profitable, most productive, most appreciative. They really love what we do. Here are the people that are good clients. They like us. We've got some challenges with them, and they're our good clients. And then here's the list of the people that are not our best clients. And so here's what we'd like you to do with that list. From the list of good clients, here's a whole list of potential future clients or targets or prospects. I like future clients. Here's a list of future clients, potential future clients that we'd like you to find out more about. Do they model our really exceptional clients? Because we would like to have conversations with them and share stories about how we've helped our exceptional clients. Then here's the list of the good customers. So there's some challenges with them, but we'd like you to find more people like that and have a conversation. And here's the list of clients we'd like you to avoid based upon our experience. And as you build your questions, if they give you answers that model some of the behaviors of these clients that we would not like any more of, that we would not like you to say yes to. They don't pay their bills on time. They don't respect our delivery cutoff times. They don't respect our software engineers. They don't respect our healthcare advisors. They don't respect our customer service people. For whatever the reasons that they are in the bottom third of the customer list, why would you want to fire them? Why don't you exclude them? Become more sagacious. The definition of that word, I'm having some fun with it, sagacity, is discernment. Be more discerning. Teach your new salespeople how to do that up front. What questions to ask to determine, are they a fit for you? Not only are you a fit for them, but are they a fit for you? And a lot of salespeople, they're given a brochure and told, go out there and get them, get everybody, talk to everybody. And it's a waste of time. 20% of all your efforts are giving you 80% of your result. Why would you want to spend time or have your salespeople spend time with people who you would prefer not to do business with? You wouldn't be able to say yes to them. Are you paying attention? That's another way to say no. We wouldn't be able to say yes to that. So then the 80-20 rule, that's the next thing that top producers do. They focus their efforts on the top 20% that will get them 80% of their result. So without guidance, guess what? Most of your team is spending their time on the 80% of tasks that give them 20% of their result. Why do that? The next thing is the energy they project. Are they welcoming? Do they project a positive energy? Can they leave behind? Can they compartmentalize what's going on in their life? And maybe even that little voice in their head is telling them, you're not hitting your goals, you're not working hard enough. Can they overcome that, compartmentalize it, leave it in the car, leave it at the office, leave it at home when they go to speak to people, whether it's to pick up the phone or go see people live? Can they project an energy that's inviting? And an energy that's inviting is this: curious, silently wishing them joy, peace, success, and happiness. But curiosity means you're going to be wondering, are we a fit for these prospects and future clients, and are they a fit for us? So that you're curious. Why did they give you the appointment? There must have been some thoughts in their mind. So that curiosity is a pulling energy. And if they're pushing to get a sale because they're attached to outcomes, and that's going to be the next thing we talk about, top producers have a pulling energy. They're curious. They know they're not going to sell everybody. Do you have 100% of the marketplace currently? I doubt it. So then why would you be hit or miss all over the place, scattering your energy, wasting time on people that aren't going to be a fit anyway? I don't know. Some companies do. They don't teach their people. First of all, they don't give them permission to be discerning. Then they don't teach the 80-20 rule. And then they never talk about the energy they're projecting. If somebody's going through a frustrating time and they present that energy to future clients, people pick up on it. Did you ever walk into a room and you thought, wow, I could cut the tension here with a knife? All that is energy that you're sensing. Did you ever walk in on a conversation and people stop talking when you get there? What's the energy you feel then? So the next thing is the reason some people have an energy that's not attractive, it's not pulling, it's pushing. They're attached to their outcomes. They're attached to their goals. They don't know how to detach from an outcome. They get an appointment and they think right away, got one, boss. And they get there pushing what they're selling instead of thanking them for, hey, thanks for the time. It's important. We would never add a new customer if we don't get appointments. So thank you for the appointment. And then tell me a little bit why you wanted us to come in and talk about what we're offering. Now, the next thing is to learn who you're in front of by the energy they project. Some people don't want the story. First of all, they don't want to spiel, but secondly, they display energy like this. That was a yes or no question. That means they're a demanding type, a D in the disc. They like short answers, yes or no. They want you to be so present you're paying attention to their questions. If it's a yes or no question, you say yes or no right away. Give them the answer. Then ask them, instead of giving the details, would you like to hear more about that? We wouldn't be able to say yes to that. Would you like to hear more about that? They want more details only if they want more details, and they'll tell you, yeah, sure, tell me more about that. Then there's the people that are very enthusiastic. They're waving their hands. They've got a lot of energy. They appreciate some of the story. They like the details. Then there's the relationship type people. If you're not careful, you'll spend the whole allotted time for the appointment talking about stuff that doesn't matter eventually, right? Talking about things early on, like their family, how they got their job, how they got the career, how they got their current position. But at some point, there are people who will never get back to business because they're social beings. They love the relationship. And if you picture a circle, the disc, there's a D on the left-hand side, and I, the relationship people. The D are the demanding, the directs. The I are the relationship people. They're infused with enthusiasm. Then there's the S. They're relationship people. They love the relationship. And then there's the D, D, I, S, and C. If you can determine if people are on the left side, a D or a C, or an I or an S on the right side, you'll have a better chance of connecting. And you do that by paying attention, being grounded, being authentic, and detaching from outcomes. Now you communicate, if you are authentic and grounded and not attached to an outcome. You're not thinking about your commission and spending dollars that haven't yet hit your company's bank, let alone your bank. You communicate in a style that works for them. The C people on the left side, the D and the C people, they hate sales pitches. And they hate a lot of questions unless it's their questions. They're very skeptical. They're tire kickers. If you've ever been in a meeting with someone that you could barely get talking and you felt the pressure, you felt like you had to fill the silence gap with your words, they're C's. Here's what you do with a C. Hey, thank you for the appointment. I'm sure you did a lot of background check and a lot of work on what we're offering, and you must have some questions. So why don't we start with what your questions are? That's how skeptical they are. Those are the ones that you give the power of questions to. So it's the exception to the rule that you hear in all kinds of sales training books and programs. Get them talking 70 to 80% of the time. Yeah, that's important for 50%. The I's and the S's. The D's, you want to get them talking maybe 40 to 50% of the time. So they're going to listen to your questions, but there has to be some back and forth there. And you need to be present and grounded enough to watch their body language, listen to their tone, because you'll know when you've upset them. You'll know. And you can say, well, it sounds like maybe I've said something that bothers you a little bit. I just noticed that you You seem concerned. The C, again, on the left side, the D and the C, but the C's, they need to be getting you talking. You have to allow them to ask you questions. Then you can ask them questions back like, okay, so I get that question. Here's the way we think about that, but tell me more. Why is that? Why was that question? What was important about that question just now to you? You need to dig a little bit, and that's curiosity. And again, what you're doing is finding the fit. That's your goal. Find the fit. Top producers are also students of the game. They're always willing to go to a seminar. Now, those are some of my least favorite recommendations because most seminar training, there's very little left after 2 weeks in one's mind. I suggest coaching with training, which is what we do at Southwestern Consulting, who I have joined my business with. Lord Lentini is also a part of Southwestern Consulting. And I did that because I'm going to be 72 this year, and I'm thinking about who can my clients transition to, people that I've worked with since 1998, which, by the way, some I still have since 1998. So I want to make sure they have an option for the time that I'm no longer here for whatever reason, if you get my meaning. But also I found value in the way Southwestern approaches their business because they're part of Southwestern Advantage, who's been recruiting salespeople, building sales teams every summer, college students, for over 100 years. They hire and train college students during their semester breaks to sell educational materials, door to door, knocking on doors. It's an amazing process that eventually led them to, hey, we build and recruit and build and train sales teams every year. So why don't we translate that to a training system for other companies? And that's how Southwestern Consulting was born. So we do trainings. Yes, we do trainings. We recommend reinforcement trainings, and we highly recommend coaching, individualized coaching with training for your sales teams. So we do both, but reinforcement is the key to training because it helps people build new skills. It puts new tools in their toolbox. But student of the game is someone that's always learning and willing to have a coach, is coachable. Because our coaches challenge people. They make commitments in between their meetings. They meet twice a month. And they commit to things in between, whether it's learning something, reading something, or doing something. They commit to making that extra call, asking for more referrals. They commit to a number, maybe. It's up to the coach and the client. But once that commitment's made, the coach holds them to it. There's an accountability aspect to coaching and training. Some of the people that I've had for, 23 years, 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, the reason they keep coming back is we have that conversation about accountability. And then we talk about a wide range of topics, including, for example, that we live in a universe, which most people forget. We live in a miracle floating on a little ball in the midst of a vacuum, right? Something we don't understand. As much as modern physicists think we're getting closer to what this is all about. Yeah, just read about the James Webb Telescope and the Hubble, and the average person knows we are as far off today as the Incas and the Aztecs were when they were sacrificing princesses and babies to satisfy the gods. So we need to have a vision that is limitless, that matches what we live in, which is an infinite universe. To have a picture of it, to have vision boards, yes, affirmations are important, but I also suggest building a process called the Neuro Gym. Go to the gym in your mind with practices that develop positive neural pathways. Neuro researchers have discovered this, that negative thinkers, people who are predominantly negative thinkers, can develop new neural pathways where positive experiences are stored. They've proven it with MRIs. Shirzad Chamine, who wrote the book Positive Intelligence, has a program called the PQ program, which I'm also certified. And I add that work to my clients' work to help them build a natural default to the positive instead of the negative. And we all spend some time in the negative, by the way, and depending on circumstances, because most of us live from the outside in. That's the last key to top producers. They live from the inside out. They learn to build an energy that projects an enthusiasm, awe, and wonder for every moment, being grateful. They practice gratitude. They look around and appreciate things in the moment that project an energy to others that they're grateful and they're present. They're in the now, as Ram Dass used to say, or Eckhart Tolle, or whoever your favorite guru is, whether living or dead. I wrote the book Sage Advice, Wisdom for Living, from throughout the ages. It's fascinating. And by the way, some of the sages in my book are still alive today. Some are no longer with us, but I can tell you there's fascinating wisdom from thousands of years ago, right up until modern times in the book, that are quotes from people that talk about being students of the game, being authentic and grounded and being in the now. And for most of us, we still haven't learned anything from thousands of years ago, especially if you think of what our leaders are doing today. Our society is about division, dividing people. Doesn't matter what side you're on. It's Monday morning quarterbacking, making others wrong so that we can be right. And we've lost the ability to have a dialogue. A dialogue is a jointly created reality. A monologue is the story you tell yourself. That's a monologue. You're in your head with it. And so that's the other thing is the last thing top producers have is they're open-minded. They're not small-minded thinkers. They're limitless thinkers. They're open to many possibilities. Whether it's a conflict and maybe a heated conversation, they don't get enrolled with defending and arguing and trying to change other people's minds and get them on their side. They're open-minded. They're limitless thinkers. And that's what brings them an amazing array of new opportunities and outcomes that are mostly far beyond what they imagined. My clients that have been with me for years have earned incomes and changed lives of others and changed their own lives beyond where they ever imagined going back 23, 20, 15 years ago. They reached heights they had not imagined, but the key thing is they decided to be happy from the inside out. Nothing from the outside will validate us because it's a question. I'll be satisfied when this happens, when I make this amount of money, when I get this title, when I do that, when I do this. It's a question. I'll be satisfied when? When will you be satisfied? You won't be until you make the decision to be satisfied. And by the way, it's a journey, not a destination. You don't get to the place where you're 100% satisfied every minute of every day, joyful, awe, exuberant. It's a journey. You practice it every day. And over time, you become someone that loves the journey and catches yourself when you're stuck in the when. I'll be happy when. Oh, wait a minute. I'm happy. Let me think about what I'm grateful for. All the blessings I have. My family, my friends, my work. And the last and final thought I'll leave you with is they learn to be happy no matter what because they don't judge the moment. They remember things like Christ said everything works together for good. Or Muhammad said, what reaches you was never meant to miss you, and what misses you was never meant to reach you. So they learn to look at life as a friend. They leave behind small-minded thinking and expand into the limitless thinking. What's possible here? What's the gift in this? Life is my friend. What is it urging me to do in a new way that would make me somewhat uncomfortable? What is the gift in this? When you shift your perspective to looking at life as a friend, you'll see what most people miss in plain sight. And when you learn to see what most people miss, you'll embrace life as it is, life as a friend. But don't take my word for it. Never follow anyone or anything blindly. Have an open mind. Make your life an experiment. Prove it to yourself. Test what I'm telling you. And get back to me. Let me know. Maybe I'll include you in one of my upcoming books. Steve Lentini is my name. Steve at Steve Lentini, and I'll spell it. Steve at Steve, L as in Linda, E-N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, INI.com. Email me. I'm glad to help. Call me. When you email me, you'll get my contact information. Enjoy. Have a great week. Thank you very much.